Welcome to Soul Growth Stories, where we uncover the profound lessons hidden within the simplest tales of our shared human experience. Today we follow the journey of a man named Ilian, a traveler who walked the dusty roads of a forgotten land. His clothes were tattered, his boots were worn through, and every step he took seemed to carry the weight of the world. On his shoulder, he carried a large, rough sack that seemed incredibly heavy, pulling him down toward the unforgiving, hard earth. He did not know where he was going, only that he was searching for a better life, far from his poverty. The sun beat down on him mercilessly, and he often paused to wipe the sweat that stung his tired, weary eyes. The sack was filled with rocks he had collected from his homeland, intended only to be reminders of where he began. He dropped the heavy burden to the ground with a groan, cursing the weight that made his journey so incredibly difficult. To him, they were just ugly gray stones, a useless burden that he felt obligated to carry for no good reason. He held one up to the light, but it did not sparkle or shine. It was just a dull, heavy rock. In a fit of annoyance, he tossed the stone away into the tall grass, wishing his load was just a bit lighter. As he slept, he dreamed of gold and silver, of a life where he did not have to carry heavy burdens. But when he woke, the dream vanished, leaving only the dust of the road and the heavy sack waiting for him. He walked through deep forests where the birds sang, but he was too focused on his misery to hear their songs. By a rushing stream, he stopped to drink, watching the fish swim freely, wishing he could be as light as them. Bored and frustrated, he took a handful of stones from his sack and skipped them across the water, watching them sink. One by one, the stones disappeared into the depths, and with each throw, his burden became just a little bit lighter. He felt a momentary sense of relief as the weight decreased, unaware of the true value he was casually throwing away. He arrived at a small village where children played in the dirt, looking at the stranger with wide, curious, innocent eyes. When a child asked for a toy, Ilian laughed and handed over several of his stones, thinking he was being generous. "Take them," he said. "They are just useless rocks from the mountains, heavy trash that I am tired of carrying around." Later, he traded a large pile of stones for a simple loaf of bread, thinking he had made a clever deal. He ate the bread with satisfaction, looking at his shrinking sack, happy that his load was becoming easier to carry. Years passed, and Ilian grew older, his hair turning gray as the dust of the road settled permanently into his skin. Through storms and harsh winters, the sack remained his companion, though he continued to resent its presence and its heavy weight. Whenever despair struck him, he would lighten his load, tossing stones into ravines, convinced they were the cause of his misery. One day he arrived in a grand city of commerce, where merchants and nobles walked the streets in fine, colorful silks. He stood before a jewelry shop, his eyes wide with envy as he gazed at the sparkling gems in the window. "If only I had one of those," he whispered. "I could buy a house, good food, and finally rest my legs." The sack on his back was now almost empty, containing only a few of the original stones he had started with. He wandered into the market square, hoping to find some work, or perhaps a charitable soul who might offer him food. In a quiet corner, he saw an old merchant examining rocks with a magnifying glass, his face full of intense concentration. Curiosity got the better of him, and Ilian approached the old man, wondering why anyone would care about such common things. The merchant looked up, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. He saw the weary traveler and the nearly empty sack he carried. "What do you carry in that old sack, my friend?" the merchant asked softly. "It seems you have traveled a long way." Ilian laughed bitterly. "Just useless rocks from my homeland. I have been foolish enough to carry them for all these years. May I see them?" the merchant requested. Ilian shrugged and poured the last few gray stones onto the merchant's velvet table. They lay there, dull and dusty, looking out of place among the fine items that surrounded the old merchant's stall. The merchant picked one up with trembling hands. He wiped away the grime of the journey and held it to the sun. His eyes went wide, and he gasped. The look on his face was one of pure astonishment and deep reverence. "Wait," said the merchant. He took a small tool and carefully polished a small window into the rough, gray surface. Suddenly, a brilliant beam of light shot out from the stone, dazzling them both with a fire that seemed to come alive. Underneath the ugly crust lay a gem of incomparable beauty, flawless and radiating a color that Elian had never seen. Elian stood frozen, his breath caught in his throat. He could not believe that the dull rock was actually a treasure. "This is no ordinary stone," the merchant whispered. "This is a rare, unpolished gem, worth more than this entire market." Elian's voice trembled. "Are you sure? Are you telling me that all of these stones are actually precious gems?" The merchant checked the others quickly. "Yes," he confirmed. "Every single one is a fortune disguised in a rough coat." Elian fell to his knees, not in joy, but in horror. Memories of his journey came flooding back to haunt him. He remembered the stones he had skipped across the river, watching fortunes sink to the bottom of the muddy water. He remembered the handfuls he had traded for stale bread, giving away a kingdom's worth of wealth for a single meal. He remembered every time he had cursed the weight, throwing away the very future he had been searching for so desperately. He wept bitterly in the dust, realizing that he had been a rich man all along, but had lived like a beggar. The merchant placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do not weep for what is lost, for tears cannot bring them back. Look instead at what remains," he said. "You still have enough here to live a life of comfort and peace." Elian wiped his eyes and looked at the few stones left. He realized he had not lost everything, just the excess. He finally understood. The value was never in the destination, but in the burden he had carried on his own shoulders. Elian sold the remaining gems. He did not buy a palace, but a simple home where he could find true peace. He used his wealth to help other travelers, teaching them the lesson he had learned at such a very high cost. He would tell them, "Do not despise your burdens, for you never know what treasures might be hidden within the weight." Like Elian, we all carry a sack of stones, our talents, our time, our challenges. They often feel heavy and rough. We complain about the struggle, looking at others with envy, wishing to discard our own unique path for something easier. We throw away our time on meaningless distractions, discarding the precious moments that could be used to build a magnificent future. We trade our health and integrity for quick comforts, not realizing we are giving away diamonds for a crust of bread. Often, it is only when time has run out that we realize the immense value of what we once held. Look at your own burden today. The difficulties you face might just be the rough coating of a spectacular, priceless gem. Do not wait for a stranger to tell you your worth. Start polishing your own stones right now, with patience. With patience and effort, the heavy responsibilities you carry can be transformed into the strength and wisdom that defines you. Elian found peace, not because of the wealth he kept, but because he finally learned to appreciate what he carried. True wealth is not found in a distant land. It is hidden in the everyday moments and struggles of your life. Do not let envy blind you. Do not let the illusion of others' happiness make you devalue your own unique journey. Cherish what you have, even if it feels heavy. Within that weight lies the potential for your greatest joy and success. You are the gem bearer. Do not discard your future before you have had the chance to see it shine. Look up at the stars and remember that even the darkest night is filled with the promise of 1,000,000,000 lights. Your treasure is already with you. Hold it tight, polish it with love, and let your true value shine bright. Thank you for watching Soul Growth Story. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and share it with others. Goodbye.